24, driving business.
Welcome to another dynamic and inspiring episode, and today we are delving into the government initiatives that are designed to empower and elevate young entrepreneurs out there. Well, though on the spotlight today we are talking about the alignment between the National Youth Council and these government initiatives or schemes, right? And with me today is Mr. Sam Ogwal, the Secretary for Finance, National Youth Council. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Bronia.
Yes.
And good morning, viewers. It's a pleasure being here today. Thank you.
Well, first off, what are some of the objectives for the National Youth Council?
Yeah, a National Youth Council was established in 1993 by an act of parliament with the objectives to bring the young people together. And the first objective being that to organize the young people of this country into a unified body. And secondly, is to engage them into activities that are of benefits to them. That's why you find National Youth Council will be in the issue of sport, National Youth Council will be in the issue of economic empowerment, National Youth Council will be in the issue of social issues like sexual reproductive health, advocating for the young people for the right purpose. And the last objective is that to protect the young people from manipulation. You're aware that the young people of this country go through a lot. Yes. We have received concerns whereby young people feel like they're being used either by organizations or by the employers and certain sectors within the countries. But it is now our responsibility to add weight onto that concern and make government react. It's a specific reason maybe why we work closely with the Minister of Gender to closely bridge the gap.
Like it's the protector for the young people.
Yes, like policy issues, and then when it comes to the issues that affect them, we must be at the center because it is the young people that put us in place. We have a team of 11 executive members who are elected by the young people. Yeah, so, and out of all those 11, they must champion the objective of the institution. Yeah, so the National Youth Councils have structures from the village up to the national level. We have a team of 9 members in every village in this country, elected by the young people of those villages. And then we move up to the parish, up to the sub-county level, and then to the district and national level. From the village to the district, there are 9 members of the executive committees. The national, there are 11. Yeah, thank you.
Well, if you're to observe, okay, from what you've said, if you're to observe, like right now in our country, 75% of the affected people by unemployment, it's mostly us, the young people. What could be your assessment? Where do you think the problem is? What is the general problem here?
Yeah, the general problem affecting the majority of this population, which are young people, I think as a country, we are not being intentional toward clearly supporting young people. When you look at the policy design, there's no exception being treated to this special marginalized group, which are the majority of the population of this country. When you look at, let me give you an example. When it comes to investment in agriculture, we're aware that the majority of the young people are in the rural areas. And you look at the programming in agricultural sectors, and in terms of providing support, there's no exception being granted to the young people of this country. We were asking ourselves that we are looking into agro-industrialization, and we are trying to mechanize agricultural sectors. But when you look at the support the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of the planning, that this is targeting the young people, whereby the institution can say, demand and say how many have gone to the what? To the youth of this country. They will not have clear answers for us. So I think this spread across to the entire planning framework And as an institution, of course, there are certain spaces whereby our weight can go in, but there are certain spaces whereby we are not there, where critical decisions are being taken. For instance, we cannot say we have representation at the Ministry of Agriculture. We don't have. And sometimes even if we reach out to them, we reach out to them like you. Yes, they would give us audience, but continuous following up and checking out that this is happening has been a challenge. The same thing when you go to Ministry of ICT. There's an innovation fund there. But many people have been crying that where is the fund going? So the only initiative that we can feel proud of and say that it's going to the young people, though having a little bit of challenges, is one of them, the Youth Library Program, which is under the Ministry of Gender, where around 11,000 groups have been supported by this government. Those ones, they can say they have benefited directly from government support. And we as the institution, we've been part of that, and we know that at least despite of the challenges surrounding the program, but young people have benefited. Over 251,000 young people are individually benefiting from youth library programs. If you go to your sub-county, I'm very sure they will point at you that government supported this youth group, but unfortunately, maybe because of the challenges among the young people, the group either collapsed or is successful. We have the Innovation Fund, which government is giving, using. The Innovation Fund, when it's supporting the young people in ICT sectors, the innovators, of course they have their own processes. One thing that we have been advocating for purpose of transparency and accountability, let a young person be part of the selection committee of those funds for the beneficiaries, so that we are able to track that in this sector, maybe students or maybe young people from this particular side of the country or from these sectors that have benefited, and this innovation is part of the government support. But right now we cannot talk about it. The Ministry of ICT, the doors are still closed. We're trying to knock, but I know that we shall enter in. And of course, you remember in the last financial year, this financial year actually, governments had invested, what I can say realistically, around 160 billion. 160 billion, the 100 billion is going to support the Myoga program, whereby government is proposing that 20 million be added to the 18 sectors within the Myoga. As you're aware, Myoga is a constituency-based program which is supporting 8 sectors. We have the carpentry, we have the bakery, we have the tailoring, we have the youth leaders circle. These people comes together and they're benefiting. So each sector within the constituency government proposal, let's give them additional Additional 20 million. Of course, the program is having its own challenges. The others, mismanagement of funds, limited supervision and transparency. People also don't understand how a circle should work and operate.
That's what was budging me, because from the amount of money you've mentioned already, the 160 billion shillings, that's quite a lot of money. But still, if you're to see, in the context of most young people still complain, they don't see where the money is. They don't know where the money is. And from what you're saying, you're indicating that government is really pushing hard to provide money for these people. And also, it remains a challenge that accessing funds for young people today is also challenging. You've said like the implementation and maybe the distribution of money is the problem, right? What are some of the other government initiatives that are in place? Like you've mentioned the Myogas, the PDMs and all that.
Of course, others we have, of course, the PDM that you have talked about, whereby in terms of the guideline, they're saying that the young people should benefit or is going to benefit 30%. When you look at 30% of 1 trillion that government is investing at the parish level, that's around 300 billion. 300 billion, that translates that in each parish, youths are entitled to benefit to around 30 million per parish in this country. One of the biggest problems we are facing with this funding, mostly, let me say, be specific now, PDM, is that yes, however much government is saying that the 30% is meant for the young people. By the way, even not only 30%, I know you're a youth, you're a young person, you can also benefit from the women docket, which is the government said is 30%. So literally it means that 60% of the funding of PDM is going to the young people. But at the implementation level, at the lower level. The implementers are saying that the youth groups are not supposed to be formed, or the youth enterprise groups. Because for you to access the fund, you must come together in the same enterprise and then say that this household, they're going to access this fund based on these specific enterprises they want to undertake. So they're saying that youth enterprises are not supposed to be there. What is supposed to be there, the 30% is supposed to be, if we have an enterprise, then the 30% composition of the enterprise membership of the groups are supposed to be youth, the 30% women, the 10% PWD, no, the 10% older person, the 5% PWD, and PWDs, and the rest. But this is not what was advocated for. That's not what we advocated for as the Youth Council. For us, our point was, if a parish A is going to receive 100 million in a financial year, then out of that 100 million, 30 million should be reinvested for the young people. Let the young people form the enterprise, support them within that arrangement, so that we are able to hold the government accountable and say that you can even have justifiable accountability and say that out of the 100 million that was invested in parish area, or out of the 1 trillion that government put in PDM, meant to support the young people, we can surely and guarantee that this specific amount of money, let me say, maybe out of the 300 billion, 250 billion actually benefited young people. But now we cannot get such data because that reinvestment has been affected by the level of implementation. The operational manual is not clear. But yes, when you go to Ministry of Local Government and have an interaction with the coordinator for PDM, they will tell you the young people have their 30%, the women have their 30%, but that's not what is happening on ground. And that clear definition of with youth, it's not very clear. It's not there actually. So that's some of the challenges. So that I can say that we have been facing challenges, follow up some of these things clearly. But yes, the investment is there. And one thing that we have learned is that we need to improve on the coordination. Yeah, we need to have coordination. And we have a problem with this country. Where there is resources, people want to hold it and have control. And that's a very big issue. No one they feel like if we bring all these resources together, or we share valid information together, the Youth Council will come in and say, now where is our role? And what is going to come to Youth Council? And then, of course, the Minister of Gender will also come in. How much is it going to come to the Ministry? We are the one in charge of the young people and women of this country. And literally the entire community falls under them. So what are you providing to the Ministry? The same thing to other sectors. ICT will be like the young people in ICT. How are we going to support them? Now, that's the bigger issue. Because you find agencies are implementing their programs alone. They're not sharing information. They're not engaging the stakeholders adequately to have proper information and to share whatever the success they have registered within this initiative. And that's where the main thing comes in. To be like, now, we're doing all this. But where is the impact? Where is the impact? I can reliably tell you that, yes, we have impact in youth livelihood program. Out of 169 billion that government invested in youth livelihood program, 40 billion was recovered. Over 11,000 youth groups have benefited. Over 125,000 individuals youth have benefited from that fund. If you move to the community, you say, this group benefited, so and so stand benefited. But at this point, if you go to PDM, they're saying household. The household, most of the young people don't have household. They're under their parents, but they're above 18 years old. Most of the young people are not part of the circle board, which is supposed to approve some of this fund. Yes, we have representation at the PDC, but some of these young people don't have capacity to understand their role within the PDC. Whether to mobilize the young people, whether to advocate for their interests, because at the end of the day, they're going to blame them. Yeah, so those are some of the things. But there's resources. Government, I told you, put 60 billion in the skilling hub, the regional skilling hub, and it's really doing well, I must say. Young people are learning. If you take time to visit, some people are now making very good furnitures, others are making very nice clothes like the one you're wearing, and the rest. But the biggest challenge we have seen is that after these young people learning, they're not being equipped to go and now start production. That's also another big issue. So we hope that by investing this additional 60 billion into the skilling initiative and State House, we shall see young people working with with equipment for them to start producing.
Yeah, okay. You, Sam, you've just said that resources are available, which is a great thing, by the way. So how about like we were having a conversation before all this, and you somehow touched on the fact that the young entrepreneurs today, or the young people, are not like well informed. Like there is less information out there to create the awareness that the money is here, you have to do this and that to access the money. Yeah, what can we do about that?
Yeah, I think for information to reach every young person and right information, because you know when you communicate, things keep changing, information keep changing. Others even will be labeled towards you, like Ogwal said so. When Ogwal, whatever Ogwal is saying is not his words, but it's the word of the institutions or whatever the statement was for the institutions of government. So I think it's a collective effort. But what needs to be done is that there's supposed to be proper coordination where this information are shared to valuable partners, including the media, because media play a key role in disseminating some of this information. I might not have capacity to reach in all the villages in this country, but I might have one person in that village that have a TV set that is watched. Every community in the evening comes and sit and watch.
Or even a radio station.
Or even the radio station. Each district in this country have a radio station. How are we engaging the media to share this information? That's come with coordination. Even how is the media organized to engage in this coordinated approach? That's also important, so that the information that is going to get out, it is right and is accountable. Another thing is that I think the young people also, we need to be organized. As I told you, government invested around 169 billion in them, in YLP. Government was only able to recover 40 billion. Where is 29 billion? It is still lying idle with them. Whether they have eaten or whether they have used it for marrying, I don't know. But it is within them. Now, what does that translate? It means that we are also, at some point, we are not ready. Of course, yes, we can say we are not ready. Maybe there are groups that are ready, but that's a bad image for an investor to put something and then pull only less than 20% of that investment. It's a bad signal to them for the future. So I think we need to look at, do a thorough understanding, but also a research on how best young people can be supported. But I think we need to be better organized. Because the program itself, some of this program had their own challenges. You know, the youth livelihood program came in during a political time, and politicians said this is a government money. Young people jump into it and ate. Imyoga came in the political time and said that we are going to give you people money at the parish-based level, constituency-based now. So literally, so the politician took advantage and said, we lobbied for you, government is bringing for you this, just enjoy. That is your money, taxpayers, was money. And then now you look at the PDM. I told you PDM is both political and economical. People with wrong mindsets, they're going to get the 1 million, drink it, and it's the end game for them. People with right mindset, they're going to invest that money and produce something out of it. But at the end of the day, they will be counted as what? As beneficiaries. So I think we need also to work on our mindsets as young people. Let's be development oriented, and instead of being consumptive oriented. I think another issue is that the program implementers need to continue with interaction. I don't know how many times we have attended a meeting with Ministry of Local Government to get updates on PDM or to receive updates from us on PDM. But remember, we go to the community and monitor, we interact with these young people, and we clearly see certain things are not right. I was in a district attending a function, and the political leadership are saying that the PDM fund, for you to get, the maximum is 1 million. But they can approve an amount of money depending on what your enterprise is.
Okay.
So the maximum is 1 million, but they can give you 700 if your enterprise doesn't qualify for 1 million. But from nowhere, the RDC also came in and said, no, each person must get 1 million. So now, if the implementers are saying this, and then the other person who is the position of authority is also saying something different, then automatically confusion starts arising in the community. So I think there's also need for continuous interaction and coordination. I would want to see government investing more into mindset change. Put money in the media. Let people who have benefited from some of this initiative come and share their experience.
Yeah, the success stories.
The success stories. Where people are having challenges. Let these people, let the media go and interact with people who have mismanaged the fund. I can say, before this financial year end, I would want to see analysis of the worst performing district in PDM. And the media goes there and say, why has this district not performed? And then the best performing district in the country. And they say, what did this district do? Or what were they doing uniquely that made them to improve on their performance?
Well, Sam, that drives me back from what you said, whereby you find the council is complaining that I'm the one who supports the young people, then Ministry of Gender, then ICT. What do you think National Youth Council can do to like bridge this gap? Because you, to some extent, you're both impacting the young people.
Yeah, true,
so
true.
how can you harmonize to bridge that whole gap? Yeah.
I think I think in terms of harmonization, it starts from the word go. Engagement, as I told you. Some of this program came in without the inputs of the young people. We were not consulted. Now, if you are not consulted, your roles are not clearly defined in some of these programs.
True. Yeah.
We only have one program where the role of the youth leaders in this country is defined. And that is the Youth Livelihood Program. That's why I'm able to give you statistics. But when you go to Emyoga, the young people are seen as the beneficiaries. It's being implemented by Microfinance Support Center, which is under in partnership with Ministry of Finance. Where do young people fall in Ministry of Finance? It's not there.
Good question. Yeah.
But they're saying the youth are there, they're supporting the young people. Yeah, they're doing it. But then how often do we meet? Let me say now, our roles are not there, but how often do we engage ourselves, both at the national level, at the district level, at the constituency-based level, to do assessment? So that's a bigger issue. But I think the best way for us to solve some of these challenges is that we need to work in a coordinated approach. I don't mind not being part of Emyoga, but as long as we are engaged and having the right information and we can identify people who are benefiting in some of these programs. And also we need to bring the private sectors on board. Because now we're talking about youth-driven enterprises, the startup, and most of these enterprises are startup. How best can private sector help to leverage on them to improve on their productivity and also financing in a more sustainable way? Those are some of the things that we would expect from private sectors. But of course, just like I told you, even private sectors that are doing something. MasterCard Foundation supported private sector foundation with over $20 billion US. Now the $20 billion US is supposed to benefit over 500,000 enterprises in this country. This 500,000 enterprises, 40% are supposed to be the women and 30% the youth. I think the remaining balance goes to the implementation, monitoring and all that. But even us having an interaction to identify who are these beneficiaries. So far, when you look at that website, they will say over $7 million US have already been spent. It means that it has been given to the community. But when have we ever had engagement to assess and know that, yes, if I go to my district, I can point at, say, Bronia is a beneficiary of annual of support from from private sector foundation. If I go to a certain village in a lab town, I can be in position to mobilize and say that, young people, there is an opportunity here. I am here to help you, and you tap on it and you improve on your livelihood. They are now started when they're going to have the conversation that, yes, we have the production. The young people are using the resources well. We have the available information that can support us to plan. Now we move from the production to market. So how best can we really let this group tap into available domestic markets, but also the regional markets? That's where now the conversation can go. But if we don't have this information, people are doing their things in isolation because the resources is theirs, then automatically everyone will be doing their own things, but at the same time, we are not having impact, but duplication.
Wow, let's expound more on the mindset thing. Well, the market competition, like you've tapped on as well, it's also a huge challenge. But still, if you're to observe so well, like, okay, anyway, there's no observation, it's just, it's the fact.
It's a fact,
Uganda is agriculture is the backbone of our country, right? But then if you're to see most young people, okay, that's what almost everyone says. There are many opportunities in different sectors, but especially agriculture. But then young people have this belief of, what can I do in agriculture? Like, how can I, like, okay, I feel like it's a challenge that sometimes we just want to get profits like there and then, want like maybe someone gives me capital, I start up my business, anything like that. How could you maybe expound more on the mindset of, how can you entice young people to embrace agriculture and maybe these other sectors and earn a living from that?
I agree with you. Mindset is a very big challenge. And in this country, what is eating young people is an issue, what they have in their mind. Are they having, or are they in possession of right information or right ideas or right attitude, or they're in possession of wrong ones? But of course, everywhere you interact, you see that people are talking more about people with wrong mindset. Seems to be more. But of course, there are those with the right mindset. I can't agree with that. Young people are doing tremendously well. Now, how best can we really transform these people, these categories with wrong mindset to have the right mindset? I think one of them is experience sharing. If I am successful or I'm a successful entrepreneur, irrespective of my educational background, whether educated or not, if I share this information to people, let me say they're not educated and they feel like education was the only way, but because of the situation and my family background, they could not afford, I drop out. So it is the end for my life. I can no longer now live the life I want to be. The only thing is for me to resort either into stealing or either abusing people or drinking or gambling. So if I get to listen to the information from someone who have succeeded with the lowest level of education he had or he possessed, then definitely something different will start entering in my head.
So it should be great for us to invest more in success stories.
So the conversation of success stories, just like I said before, the programs that are beneficial, that people have succeeded, but people with wrong mindset, they will not see that unless someone within the community or someone, the media also say, me, I was a beneficiary of the Rural Library Program. Now I am in position to earn over 60 million in a year. After government investing around 9 million in me or in our group, we can now sit at the end of the year and count our profit that we have 60 million. What do we do with it? How many should go into our private life to manage our family affairs, and how much should be reinvested for us to expand? Now there's someone who is also accessing the same fund would have the same mind, like, I think if we work well as a team, coordinated, we can be in position to succeed, like Ogwal, who invested in what? Who invested in pineapples, or who invested in matoke, who invested in sim production or selling, all that. So I think we need to have that conversation. But when you look at some of these initiatives, people are looking at only benefits. They're not looking at the process. But mindset change is a process. I must tell you something. You go and think about it, and you make your own judgment. Is it valuable to me or is not? So it's a process. But we need to work collectively. Government need to put in resources. I was shocked when they were launching PDM, and government only gave Ministry of Gender, which is one of the pillars of PDM, 1 billion to undertake mindset change in the entire country. What does that 1 billion do? We are thinking that the young people are supposed to be prime beneficiaries. So we are investing 300 billion, but we are only investing 1 billion in the process to ensure that you have the right mindset for you to benefit, for you to utilize the fund well. Let me give you the right information. Let me give you the right success story. Let me guide you for you to benefit from the fund and utilize it well. But you're only putting 1 billion. I think they ended up producing the guideline on mindset and communication. I think out of that few sensitization with people who are not even concerned about mindset. At the district level, people already have right mindset. They're like, we are sensitizing you on how to undertake mindset change in the community. But not knowing that the churches were left out, the cultural leaders were left out, the youth themselves. Me, I was oriented once on PDM for me to now go and tell my fellow young people. But a lot has changed. I don't know when we shall be engaged again. But the rest are now personal efforts. But now imagine me, I am bringing around 1,000 young people. Because everywhere I go, I recently attended a church function in the village. And the father woke up and said that, you know what, you're a national leader. Our youth are getting spoiled.
I know,
They're drunkard, they're gambling, they're raping young girls here, they're impregnating in teenage girls. So what are you doing?
That was a good question for you.
So by now, even my hands are tied. Because my only option would be talk to them, show them where the opportunities are, and help them to access them. But now, when I discussing primarily, some of these things need right information. You need to have contact to those people, and they must be willing, and it must be clear that this is how we shall be supported. Yeah, so that's...
Well, as we continue this whole interesting conversation with Sam, we shall be right back from a short break.